modern narrative would have you believe, once you hear the term homeschool, you automatically think of these right-wing conspiracy nut jobs, maybe dad's over in the corner shining up his rifle, plotting evil things in the children's head. Who knows what they're teaching these kids? The trouble with that is, for the vast, vast majority of human history, save the last 100 years or so, maybe 150, homeschooling had a different term. It was just called schooling. Parents educated their children at home. And what did people need to know back then? Well, you needed to know some mathematics. You were going to have to be able to figure. You had basically an agrarian society, farms. So you'd have to know weights and measures and I don't know how much seed to put in the ground, when to do it, when to harvest. And then when you did harvest your crop, if you're going to sell the excess of that, you'd want to be able to figure weights and measurements. How much are we paying per pound? How much are we going to get for a crop? How many bushels are yielding? And that's basically what you needed to know. You needed to have some uncommon sense, formerly known as common sense, now uncommon sense. Just to know how to get by in life, how to budget your books, how to do some measuring. You need to know how to read, and you need to know how to comprehend that. These are basic tenets of education. People learn that at home, generally from their parents. And that was your education system. Sending your children off to a distant, near, doesn't matter, some kind of outside educational source, that was primarily for the wealthy. They had secured a financial position good enough that they could farm that out. Education is incredibly important, don't get me wrong. You had the founders of this nation, people like Thomas Jefferson, who actually invented the first university to get a higher level of education. Your focus now was learning. The modern school system never updates. I mean, why do we have summer breaks now? Because at one time in America, the children were needed at home to help with the harvest during the summer months. There wasn't any time for school. You do that, in your extra time. We got crops to get in. Yet to this day, there's still summer break. I bet you could take a school of 1,000 kids and you'd be hard pressed to find 10 of them that lived on a farm, but we still have summer break. Now they've done studies and stuff with year-round public schooling. They found it vastly more financially efficient to keep everything running. You don't have to get the janitors in to clean up all the dust and all, because they got these dormant schools, fire up all the air conditioning and the heating, Yet still, most of them won't do it. It's an antiquated system. Still have summer vacation, still have summer break. And man, I tell you, I loved summer vacation because I didn't have to be under those fluorescent lights. And I didn't have to have some numbskull that wasn't qualified even to be a teacher sit and tell me when I could use the restroom, when I could get a drink of water. Had to go by a series of bells. Then we morph into the post-industrial era where you had factory jobs. So there used to be factory jobs in America. By and large, those replaced the farms in a lot of ways. So you had to get used to the system of bells, letting you know when you could do this and when you could do that and when it was time to go to the next class, because it got you ready for factory life, a system of bells. Kind of being somewhere you really didn't want to be, on the factory floor, doing the same repetitive, mind-numbingly boring job over and over. Oh, there's the bell. We got to go to break time now. Oh, there's the bell. See, I'm familiar with bells. I went to public school. Public school punishes the advanced child. Once it's explained and the advanced child gets it and understands it, they're ready to move on. But maybe not everybody's as adept as you are. So we got to go over it again and again and again. And pretty soon the advanced kids, or at least, I'm speaking from personal experience and not necessarily calling myself advanced, but it's like I don't even care about this. I'm so tired. How dumb are we that we got to keep going over the same thing? So you're punishing the child that might be a little more advanced. The slow kid is also punished, because if 80% of the class gets it, and maybe you're one of the ones that don't, and I was in those shoes at one time too, we have to move on. We don't have time for this. We have a curriculum we have to follow, see. Got to go by the book. And anything not in that book doesn't get touched, doesn't get covered. That's not education. Do you have a question? Would you like to delve a little more deeply into what happened exactly in World War II? And really, more importantly, what happened after World War II? Don't have time for that. It's not in the book. We got to move on. We have a curriculum. An interesting thing happened in 2020. They shut down the schools. And now with the advent of technology, we can do it through Zoom. We'll give you a free laptop. Free, taxpayer funded. Send that home with you. So the financially challenged kids can still keep up. And it was a sneak peek into the education system, because people farmed that out and they never checked back at what was going on. And the parents, also forced to be at home and work from home, a lot of them, started overhearing this nonsense of what's being taught in the public schools. And a lot of them got mad. What is this crap? This is not education. And a lot of them banded together and went to the school board meetings for a change, and started standing up and saying, this is ridiculous. This is not education. What did that accomplish? Well, it probably got you on a list. These are the people we got to watch out for. And they made this big uproar and this big stink, and look at what's going on and what's being taught in the schools, and this cacophony of noise. And then what did they do? They sent the dang kids right back to the institution that they deemed unfit to educate them. We've seen the results now. They keep lowering the standards of education in the public school system. They keep lowering the grades so that now a 90 is an A. When I was in school, you had to have a 93% to get an A. An 81 is a B. When I was in school, that was an 85. They keep lowering these standards. You have children now that have supposedly graduated with a high school equivalency, a certain level of competency. These kids can't read. They can't comprehend. They can't do mathematics. The United States test scores have gone down and down and down. It's a failed system. And what do? Keep sending their kids back. If you don't fill out the necessary paperwork to do homeschooling, you'll be fined. And let's examine that for a minute. They've tied in money with this so-called public education. The federal governments and the state governments pay the school system every day for your child's attendance, and that's why they stress attendance so much. It's not that you're going to fall behind. I mean, in this claptrap of a shit show is what it is. You're not going to fall behind. Any average student can pick right up. But they want that money. Last I knew, the average regular students were $50 a day is what the school got paid for your butt to be in the seat. A special ed kid, it was $95 a day, every day. That's why you got to be there, see? And that's why they'll risk your children's life on a snow day. We got to be here till 1 o'clock. And we're waiting, we're watching the weather. Why do we have to wait till 1 o'clock? Because that qualifies as a full school day, see? They got to get their money. They don't care about your kids. I've known several people that have homeschooled their children, and those kids are so far advanced from the public school kids, it isn't even close. Why? Because it's a better system. You don't have this mess of you got the bell rang, we got to waste some time changing classes because teachers only know one subject, if that. So they got to go to a different class to get a different set, different teacher. This guy knows about social studies. He's going to teach that, not mathematics. I don't know nothing about mathematics. All I know is, social studies. So we have to waste 5 minutes and the bell rings and you're switching classes and the bell rings and we got to get everybody settled down. There's a few more minutes wasted. Now we got to take roll because it's very important that every butt is in the seat so we can get paid. And then there's another few minutes wasted and kids goofing off. Well, now let's settle down. Now let's finally get to the task at hand. Except we wasted 20 minutes. The homeschool parents that fail at homeschooling, they fail because they're trying to base their model on the public school, which has already been proven to be a failed model. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a right-wing nut job just because you value your child's education. Man, if you care anything about your kids, you got to get them out of the public school system. And what it really boils down to, and this will sound harsh, but it's true if you think about it. What it really boils down to is the average American, by and large, loves their stuff more than they love their kids. We can't afford to have one parent at home teaching the kids. We got to make money to pay for what? Bass boats and four-wheelers and razors and vacations and stuff. That's more important than what your kid's learning. Your job as a parent is initially to protect, to nurture. You know, that kid's a blob. He can't do nothing but eat and sleep and crap. You got to protect, nurture, raise them up. And then when they get to a certain age, your job is to transfer now. Remember? Public schools don't transfer. They're stuck where they're at. The transition has to happen to try to make that child a competent adult, which requires a certain amount of education, a certain ability to think things through. That's your job. But you're farming that out to these strangers who may not have your best interests at heart or the best interests of the kids. They don't care. You're going to farm that out so you can pay for your stuff. If you're a parent, you've got to get them kids out of that system because the results are in, and even the institutions of higher learning, formerly, what's known as college, we've seen the results of that too. Crippling financial debt. And what did they get? They got a piece of paper in what? Gender studies? The humanities? That should pay off in the job market. You have to get those kids out of the public system. You can do the job better yourself if you have any sense at all. That's my take on it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.